Hey y'all, Jeff here with Jeff's Garage Unfiltered. And thanks for watching another video. um, so, a lot is going on today, being Easter Sunday. And later on this afternoon, one of my daughters and boyfriend will be over here. Unfortunately, Madison and Yui will not be able to join for Easter dinner today. He has to work a little bit later, and that's unfortunate. But in the job he has, he's got a rotating schedule. So, but in celebrating, Easter, we celebrate that. The Lord our King Jesus Christ has risen, and that's what Easter is all about. And over the years, I've always celebrated that, along with Christmas and the birth of Jesus. So, with all that said, you have everyone has their own beliefs, and happy Easter, and He is risen. To those who are in the Christian faith, recognizing the Jesus rising, being risen from the dead. So, but with that said, got a lot going on in Jeff's Garage. In fact, oh my goodness! So the last video we did the video on the 300 SL, where changed out the entire fuel distributor unit. And well, that didn't, the car didn't start, and oh goodness, that's dumping gas out. And so we'll have to, I kind of have an idea, and right away I ordered it, because why I put the darn thing back together, I'll never know. Woo-wee! That's good smelling gas, because that was pretty fresh inside there. But, and I'll be mad if this little $18 hose, part number 104-094-1182, was the problem. This connects the hose that the cold start injector sits down in, and this connects into the block. This is one of two hoses that connect into the block. This is kind of it comes from I guess it's an air control valve or something or other. Because what it does say, this is an idle control valve hose. So, but the cold start injector connects into a hose that this connects to. So, if this has been the problem all along, I'm really, really going to be upset, and I should have taken the whole unit off to begin with. But when you're troubleshooting something, it is very difficult, especially if you don't have a computer, to troubleshoot like I did, have had with the GL350. So, more to come on that. I'll probably not do a video of me taking the unit off again and putting it back. I may just wait till I get ready to start it. Next thing, in this box right here on the, on top here, this is the convertible top, a brand new one for the R107 350 SL, the 1972 SL, that you haven't seen a lot of videos on that car because, well, it's on the top rack in the next bay, and the 560's below it that I can't get the key in to turn it in order to start the car. And I need to get the 350 SL out so that Yui and I can do a video for y'all putting this brand new top on. Now, you got to go way back a few videos on that car to learn that the windows, the back center window was cloudy. The right quarter window, or third window, was completely gone, and the other one was fine. And I thought, I think I said in a video that, well, maybe I could find somebody to replace that, just unstitch it and stitch it back in there. Well, I hadn't found anybody, but then I happened to be perusing on eBay at one time and found the actual original, the manufacturer that actually made them in the specs for Mercedes-Benz. It's not a cheap one, because this has got, believe it's supposed to have the liner underneath it. And it was in a town not too far from here. And This brand, I looked them up, they were like $8.98, and this guy was selling this one for $300 with free shipping. I jumped right on that. So I want to get that soft top fixed, which means I got to take the hard top off to do that. And then on top of that, I got a great deal on another rack. I've already got one over there, but I've had it because it came with the 300 SL. But in this box here, I have another hardtop rack that is supposed to be for the Mercedes-Benz. So I need to put that together, and I might do that today, is put that together, but we'll see. We'll see how my time and energy, if I have the energy, because I've got to go. I'm going to smoke some ribs and make some special potatoes and for dinner, for Easter dinner today. So, but yeah, all those projects plus. Couple of videos ago, talked about the starter that came in for this car. And so this one, that way I can get that starter on. So this one's easier to start. It doesn't make all that clattering noise when they start it, because the starter, the Bendix drive, it's not catching all the time. It's wanting to release. And so a lot coming, lot to do. And then I also, on the 350 SL, I need to paint underneath the bottom on the ground effects. When it was in here, I didn't get down low enough and get the gun high, up underneath there to get underneath. And so when it was up on the lift, I could see that. So while it's on the lift, I'll probably paint that in there as well. So those are all projects that need to take place. Now, here we are at the unfiltered part of my channel. So as you know, and being it's Easter, and we've been at the war, or we created a war in Iran a little over a month ago, 5 weeks ago, whatever it was, caused our fuel prices to go up, gas, diesel. But I'm going to speak specifically more on the diesel side of things. When I was traveling to Baton Rouge, I mentioned that diesel was, $4.85 a gallon when I got down there, which was kind of odd because, the Gulf Coast, Louisiana has a lot of oil refineries, but they apparently don't refine diesel. Apparently they refine gasoline. But even at that, the gasoline was higher in the South than it was here in the Midwest, which made no sense because anytime I've ever traveled down there before, gasoline was always cheaper. But now diesel here in Nebraska, 2 or 3 days ago, just went up to $4.99 a gallon. Is it worth driving a diesel? Or should we drive the gas counterparts? Now, y'all know I got the GL350. I have a 300 SD, which I don't drive a lot, but I do drive it around town. Is it worth it? And if you follow the channel, we went and chased Madison, Huey, and I. We went and chased Nikki, 170,000 mile VW Passat diesel TDI that gets upwards in the 40 to 45 miles a gallon on the highway. Is it worth it to have a diesel with the diesel price at $4.99 a gallon? Well, I'm going to calculate this all out, and I'm going to take the 2,800 mile trip that I just took to Baton Rouge and back through via down to Baton Rouge, back to Joplin, back down to Baton Rouge, and then back to Nebraska. And I'm going to take that trip and calculate it for the GL350 that I know I got 28 and a half to 20. Well, most of the route I got 29.7 total. Coming back, I got 29.7 miles to gallon, I believe, or was one of the routes was 29.7. But mostly it was 28.5 miles to gallon. So I'm going to use 28.5 as the basis of that. And I'm going to use $4 and I'm going to use today's price, $4.99 a gallon for diesel versus whatever gasoline is. And I believe gasoline is $3.85 right now here in Nebraska. And I'm going to calculate the 17 and a half miles to the gallon that the GL 450 or the GLS with the twin turbo that gets of roughly right around 17 miles to the gallon. That trip down back for the same distance as the GL 350, which is going to be more cost saving. Now, we all know, because I've kept you all informed along the way of the repairs of this GL 350 along the way. We all know that some of my repairs have been a little higher, but some of my repairs, like just the most recent, whatever the valve was that we just changed, that would have probably cost at a repair shop, I'm going to guess around $600 by the time you got the part and the labor to do it. Because, and quite frankly, it took you a little longer to change it because it was stuck. And maybe in a shop they'd have had some other tool to get that out of there, but that I may not have had. But that's probably book hours of 2.5, probably 2.5 hours, maybe, or 3. And the book hours is what is the book hours. That's what they charge you for. If it took them 3 hours to get it out of there, you still got charged 2 hours to replace it. So the repair costs on a diesel are a little bit higher, but is it still worth it due to fuel economy and things of that nature? Is it worth to own a diesel? Those controversial subjects took place back in the late 70s and 80s when you had the 5.7 liter GM engine that was converted into it. And then you had the 6.1 and then the 6.2 diesels, that back in the oil embargo days, the car manufacturers were real quick to switch to diesel because it was more efficient. And at that time, diesel was less than gasoline, so it made more sense. But now, diesel has traditionally been 20 to 25 cents higher than gasoline until recently. Why? I do not know. I don't understand that. But is it worth to drive a diesel vehicle today? There are a lot of farmers, and in the country, part of the country I live in, farmers, everyone has a diesel pickup for the most part. They have at least one diesel pickup. And these kids like these diesel trucks. But now these kids are, they got to put $5 in their rolling cold Power Strokes that they go up and down the road. But I'm not seeing them drive around as much because guess what? $5 for a gallon of diesel. And if you're going to drive down to the next town and back, you're going to spend $20 just to get to Blair and back in a diesel pickup. Where in a gas one, it might be $16. Or $15 because of the difference in the miles per gallon and the cost. But on long trips, that diesel might be worth it. We'll see. We're going to have the calculations that will be on the screen as I'm talking. Now, why are we here? Why do we, as consumers in the United States, and I'm in the Midwest, paying $5 a gallon for diesel. It's $5 a gallon down in Texas and Louisiana and Arkansas, and then you probably $8 a gallon on each coast for diesel. Why are we here? And why are we paying that much? One, the reason we're here is because we have an administration right now that thinks that it was in our best interest to go to war with Iran. Now, I can't tell you if it is or was in our best interest or not. I don't have all the logistics. I don't have all the intel. I do not know. So I can't support him or not of the reasons that we are in this war today. But did they think of the consequences and the results of this war, what it's going to have on American consumers? The answer is he states that he thought it was going to be worse. Well, that's not the right answer. why didn't you let us, the Americans, know that we were going to be faced with this than just going and doing it? But that's not for me to decide. And that's really, at this point, we have to live with what's going on. However, what we don't have to live with, and this is on the executives of our oil companies here in the United States, we have oil. We not only have a stockpile that supposedly was, released, but really we didn't need to release that. We have oil that we can produce into gasoline and diesel fuel right here in the United States. The problem is the price is controlled on the worldwide market. It is controlled by what is coming out of Iraq and Iran and all those oil companies over there in that Gulf region. The American oil companies could buck the system and say, hey, we're going to lower our oil, we're going to lower our price per barrel to the refineries so that you, the American consumer, can, have a little bit of, be at a little bit of at ease. But they're not doing that. You know why? Because at double the price, they're making double their bonus. And I guarantee you the executives of Chevron and Exxon and whoever else, they are sitting there raking in the billions, folks, the billions. And you and I are paying for it because of decisions that were made before thinking about the ramifications of those decisions by some sort of leader in our country. Folks, there's my opinions on that. And if you stayed to watch the whole video, because some of you may have clicked off because I might be boring, but think about that for a second. We use 80% of our own oil, at least 80% of our own oil for America. We're self-sufficient at 80%. We buy 20%, and we got a couple of loads from Venezuela, some crappy oil from Venezuela that's perfect for diesel. Why are we paying the prices that we're paying? Because some oil exec wants to make some money. And if you're an oil exec and you follow my channel, put your comments down below, because I guarantee you the math is not mathing. It's not adding up, folks, because you're charging the price of per barrel at 110 or 105 or 120, whatever it is right now, is based on the world price, not what its value price is in the United States, because we have enough. We can supply our own energy needs, or at least 80 to 85% of it. If we buy 10% oil from elsewhere, we still should pay less. We should be basically be paying based on the consumption. I don't know. It's just some thoughts out there, and I'm just rambling. So there you have it. My opinions, the unfiltered side of Jeff's Garage. Should you choose to agree or disagree, that's fine. It's up to you. I don't care. But that's just my opinions. Thanks for watching. Be safe out there. And is it worth driving a diesel? Right now, it probably is. But the math will tell you. Have a great day. And again, thanks for watching. Happy Easter to everyone out there. And again, be safe out there. And you see my backdrop? See what I got to deal with?